Greetings. My name is Christopher Loverro, and I'm an American volunteering in Ukraine. We are, of course, well aware of the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk and how his murder has even further divided America. As a veteran and a patriot far from home, I would like to share with you some thoughts on this horrific event. I am what you would call a liberal. And as a liberal, I of course disagree with much of what Mr. Kirk believed in. I could list the highlights, but there's no point. That's not what this is about. Suffice it to say, I vehemently disagree with Mr. Kirk on many, many issues. But as an American, I can say that even though we see the world differently, I can also appreciate the fact that we live in a country where people have a platform to speak their truth. I believe in that. I defend that. These aren't just words. When it comes to defending our freedoms, I volunteered to go to war after 9/11. And volunteering to fight for our country after we were attacked was not just about going after the people who murdered us in our own backyard. It was also about fighting for who we are as a nation, for our defining beliefs. The people who attacked us hate our way of life and the principles we stand for. And one of these core principles is our freedom of speech. And even though my ears bleed when I listen to some of the things that Mr. Kirk said, my heart also bleeds seeing this young man murdered in cold blood. My heart bleeds for his children and his widow left behind. And my heart bleeds knowing that this is the America we are living in. I thought this was a country where we have the right to free speech, even when others hate that speech, as I did his. Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said, "The principle of free thought is not free thought for those who agree with us, but freedom for the thought that we hate." Freedom of speech is one of the fundamental pillars of who we are as a nation. And people are being murdered for what they believe. What have we become? I'm not much of a praying man, but I pray this never happens to anyone on either side. We must do better. We must overcome our hate. In fact, I was glad to hear that another outspoken conservative voice, Ben Shapiro, has decided to continue debating on college campuses. Good. Not because I agree with what he says. In fact, I don't. But we must not let hate and violence stop either side from continuing to exercise their right to speak their truth without consequences, without violence. This right defines who we are as a people. Without it, America becomes unrecognizable. Frankly, without it, our great nation loses part of its soul, and we morph into something dystopian. Voltaire's biographer coined the phrase, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." I know that Mr. Kirk was a devout Christian. So, in honor of his faith, I would like to recite Colossians 3:12 through 14. "Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity." And unity is what we all need now. I would also like to acknowledge what I think was an absolutely stunning act of Christ-like consciousness displayed by his grieving wife. At Charlie's funeral, Erica Kirk forgave his assassin. I think she exhibited a level of grace I know I am not capable of. To find such strength from her faith is not only admirable, but inspiring. In honor of her courage, let me quote Romans 12:21 that says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. In sharp contrast, our president debased himself in hate. It is a sad day in America when a grieving widow has more moral high ground than the President of the United States, the man who should be bringing the country together and finding a way forward to help us heal. Instead, uses this tragedy as an opportunity to further divide us and further reveal the hate in his heart. It is up to us to do better. I would like to end with a quote by James Madison from the Federalist Papers. "Hearken not to the unnatural voice, which tells you that the people of America, knit together as they are by so many cords of affection, can no longer live together as members of the same family." Yes, we can. It is not free speech we must resist, but the voices of division. Now, I'm expecting a lot of hate in the comment sections from both sides for this video. I only have one response. I give you love in return. Thank you for your time.